I'm a very traditional woman, and I come from a Muslim background. So my advice was always like, what's the problem? You can have a great guy. You'd be loyal to him and faithful and just be good to his family. Like, what's the problem? It's easy to get a man. As I've been working with more and more men, I realized that the underlying trait is none of that matters until you sleep with them in the way that they like. And that's what I realized, and that's what I... Sometimes, yeah. Or he has a low sex drive, in which case then you're great. Yeah, then you've got nothing to worry about. But if he has a high sex drive and you're doing all of those things without access to you, it doesn't actually... it doesn't actually matter as much.
It also depends on the man. It also depends on his maturity level and his, it's just...
so there's a lot of components.
I have a high sex drive. When I was younger, I didn't really know how to manage that.
Yeah.
And I think I let it manage me.
Right.
And as I got older, I learned how to manage it.
Right.
And, now I'm married, and I manage it. Like, it's not a problem anymore. Like, at a certain point as a man, I think most men have to make this decision of just like, you can't keep prioritizing it. Like, you're just not going to build a good, stable, interesting life for yourself.
It just can't be a priority forever.
If you're following your dick around everywhere. Like, it's not a sustainable life strategy. So at some point you just have to decide, like, you know what? Sex just needs to matter less than it used to.
Exactly.
And that's fine.
There's a lot of compartmentalization too that men do. Like, you've kind of already mentioned that as well. And I think that's how they can separate a lot of those areas. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure how that works out developmentally or whatever, or if something has happened to them, or if they're just how they were raised. I don't know, but I think men are just really good at compartmentalizing this part of their lives. Yeah.
That's true. That's very true.
And a lot of the inability to empathize, to connect emotionally, to humanize with women is directly proportional to the objectification of themselves. Like, this is something I used to write about, and like men. Like, I used to try to explain to men. I was like, objectifying women is bad, but it's not just bad because it's bad for the women. It's bad for you. Yeah. When you see women as status objects, you aren't just hurting them. You're hurting yourself because you are basing your entire emotional life around status objects, around collecting trophies and achievements.
That's a very great point.
To impress your guy friends who honestly don't really give a shit because they're emotionally stunted as well. So it's just a bad game to be playing.
Yeah, they're objectifying themselves, usually financially as well. That they really are just a financial component. So they're volunteering for that objectification. Both parties are in those circumstances.
Yeah. What is the biggest piece of women's dating advice that is wrong, in your opinion?
But in terms of the worst piece of advice that women are getting is the narcissistic movement. The movement about how every person you've disagreed with ever in your life is a narcissist, whether that's your mom, your dad, or your ex-partner. Everybody's a narcissist, and they use these buzzwords like gaslighting, breadcrumbing, all of this stuff. So it is the worst piece of advice women have got to. And the reason I say that is 9 times out of 10 when somebody's come to me and said, so-and-so is a narcissist, they are a narcissist themselves. They have a narcissistic desire to be a victim in every situation. They have a narcissistic desire to avoid any accountability, and they have a narcissistic desire for excessive sympathy from the people around them. And so the people who claim that they're victims of narcissists are usually the narcissists themselves. They're just in reverse. They like to be a victim. Real people who've been abused by narcissists will come to me and say, how do I get better? Because my husband says I'm too fat. My husband, they're actually trying to please the narcissist. They're so brainwashed by the narcissist that they think they have done nothing right in this relationship. They're awful and they need to improve. But if you're in the end where you're posting memes about a narcissist, you haven't been through narcissistic abuse. You've just been in a bad relationship, which both of you have contributed to equally, I would say. So I think that movement has been really damaging for women.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's a quote that I love from David Foster Wallace. He says that evil people don't believe that they're evil. They believe everyone else is evil.
Yeah.
I think you could replace evil with narcissists.
Yeah.
Narcissists don't believe they're narcissists. They believe everyone else is a narcissist.
Exactly that. And it just sets them up for so much failure. There's so much lack of accountability. There's so much digging into like trying to diagnose this person rather than how did I get to this state? How did I choose this person? Why have I chosen this person? And how do I improve and make sure I don't do it again? Instead, they just want to speak to a therapist that will tell them, you are a victim. You have totally chosen badly. You did nothing wrong. How can I cushion you to feel better? And that will be $1,000, please. That's what they want to hear.